వదిలేసి వదిలేసా.
Harika and Harsha Reddy, kindly change your names to your roll numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
Kindly change
Okay,
your
ma'am.
names to your roll numbers.
Oh,
ఓకే మ్యామ్.
Okay. So we are doing revision of your 5th unit. We have completed with your B plus trees, ISAM, okay, and even extendable hashing. Okay. Today we'll see the file organization and linear hashing. With that, we'll close the 5th unit because I've just started with 5th unit, completed that. Again, I'm doing the same revision. So I know that you all will be knowing this already, but I'll just go through them. Go to all this within 5-10 minutes, okay, with this topic and linear hashing, okay. And I've also given you all assignment. Kindly go to the reference globe and check it once, okay, and submit the assignment by tomorrow, okay. And one more thing is that there are pre-assignments there in that, but the assignment with the date 16th for 2020, kindly send your all your documents in that, okay, and scan your documents and write your roll numbers also, so I know who is sending what, okay. Okay, so let us start with file organizations. Okay, now file is nothing but it is a collection of information, or you can say even the records, okay, on your secondary storage. And then what is file organization is nothing but you're creating a logical relationship between that particular records and your index table. Okay, now what is file organization basically? Okay, is a file organizations is nothing but how a particular set of files or records are organized. Okay, so in that you'll be having 4 different file organizations. One is sequential, one is heap file organization, next is B plus tree file organization, and the other one is hash organization. Okay, and the one more is clustered file organization. So we'll see all these 5 in order. Okay, let's go through them. The first one is sequential. Now basically sequential is nothing but storing the files in one particular order. Okay, sequential by name, it means storing the file one after the other in some order. In that you'll be having first one is pipeline method, second one is file stored method. So in pipeline method, okay, all the records are stored one after the other. Okay, if suppose record 1 is coming first, it is stored first. After that, if record 3 is coming, then it is stored, like record 5, 7, 8, 7, 5, 9, then 8 comes, then it is stored. But this is stored in sequence one after the other. Now record 8 is suppose end of the file, and now I'm storing a new record R2 has come, I'll store it, so it will be stored after record R8. Okay, so I hope you are understanding. File method is nothing but storing the record in sequence. That is nothing but like more like a FIFO order, first come first serve. Okay, but whereas in stored file, now when we say stored file, it is basically nothing but in ascending order. Okay, that is nothing but first R1 has come, R2 record is not there, so next is R3, R4, I5, R6, R7. Okay, now suppose the same record R2 has come here. Okay, for storing. So what it will do first, it will store the R2 record first, then it will arrange again, sort it out in ascending order. That's what you'll get next. R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6 and R7. I hope you all have understood what is the difference between them. Okay, next is heap file organization. Okay, and sequential file advantages and disadvantages, that sequential file is easy and efficient. It is simple, you can easily record them, but it is more of time wastage. Why? Suppose we are doing searching on your sorted file. Okay, we have seen here you have sorted. Okay, now suppose I want to search 500 file, then I have to go from R1 to R49 499 to get the data of record 500. So it is wastage of time basically. Okay, and it also takes more space for storage. Next is heap file organization. Now your heap file basically works with data blocks. Okay, so what happens here is whatever records is inserted, it is inserted at the end of your data blocks. Okay, and there is no sorting order. You can store it anywhere where space is available, but end of the block. Okay, so we'll see this. You have data records, that is nothing but same like your primary index table, where it will store all the records. Okay, and there is one pointer which is pointing to that particular block. Okay, each record has one pointer which is pointing to each and every particular block. Now this is type of dense matrix, or what you call it as dense index. Okay, this is a type of dense index. And why is it type of dense index? Because each and every record is pointing to some or the other data block. Okay, that is nothing but all the records are pointing. It is not like space matrix. Space matrix makes only either first of the pointer is, you have one record here which is pointing to only first one. You have second record which is only pointing to the first of the second block. It's not like that. It's more of like all the records are pointing to all the blocks. Okay, so that's what is called as dense matrix or dense index. Okay, so here what happens? Suppose I have a record R1. Okay, record R1 which value is 100, that I have stored in data block 2. Next I have one record R3 which is which data value is 101, which is also stored in data block 1. Next I have R6. Okay, R6 whose value is 95. Okay, so I have stored in data block 1. Now next comes R2. Now this R2, suppose this 96 is not available because not pointed anywhere, so 96 is not available. This data block 1 is empty. Okay, now next R2 has come. It wants to add some data in some data block. Okay, so what is empty now? D1, end of the file is empty, D1 block. So I'll store some 10 value here, that is the value of R2 record, and point it to D1 block. That is nothing but called as heap file organization. Okay, so you can find the advantages, that is faster fetching and receiving the records, best suited for huge database. But if you have large database, then there will be more number of unused memories also, and insufficient use of large database. Okay, now next is B+ tree. Now this B+ tree is most similar to in your data structures binary search tree, but only difference is that in binary search tree you have 2 childrens. Here you will be having more than 2 childrens. Okay, and B+ tree is basically a balancing tree. It balances out every time you do insertion or deletion. Okay, so here what happens? Suppose they give you a question. Okay, mostly they might ask you to get difference between extendable hashing, linear hashing, or they'll ask with respect to ISAM, or they'll ask with respect to B+ tree. Okay, or they'll ask the different types of file organizations or comparisons between them. So what happens here? Suppose they give a order M or N which is equal to 4. Okay, when they give you some values to insert in a particular B tree, and its order M or N, some variable, is equal to 4. Now when they say order M or N is equal to 4, that means the number of pointers in that B+ tree is 4. Okay, now if the number of pointers in that B+ tree is 4, then it means the number of keys will be N minus 1. That is nothing but 4 minus 1. That is nothing but 3 keys. So here you have only 1 key and 2 pointers. And if I've given one more example where it is 35. Okay, one more key, 1, 2, and you'll get one more key. Example will be like this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is nothing but n is equal to 4. Then key is nothing but equal to 4 minus 1, which is equal to 3. Okay, so you have 3 keys here, 25, 35 and 17. Okay, it will be like this. Okay, and based on your ascending order, suppose I want to insert 10 now. Okay, we should check if 10 is less than 25. Yes, then move to the left pointer. Okay, now suppose if I want to insert 100. Okay, 100 is greater than 25. Yes, then it goes to next. If 100 is greater than 35, yes, it goes to next. If 100 is greater than 70, yes, then it will take the right pointer of 70 and store there 100. Okay, it's like this. Okay, and what is no what okay, and next are advantages. Yes, since B plus tree is basically dynamic, it is inefficient for static tables. Okay, here you can traverse tree easily because it is in ascending order basically. So you can easily insert, or you can easily what you say it as delete. Okay, but only restriction, only thing is that your leaves should be every time balanced. Okay, that is nothing but a child should be every time balanced. Next is clustered organization. So clustering is basically nothing but joining two different tables. Now, if you join two different tables, basically you need a column which is common in two different tables, right? So here you have department ID, which is common in two different tables. So with help of this department ID, that is nothing but here your cluster key, you combine the two different tables. Okay, that is nothing but cluster file organization. Okay, so here to perform any operation on this cluster file organization, you have to basically join, okay, two different tables. So every time it performs join on two different tables, then only a cluster file organization happens. And in large database, since we are doing clustering of two different tables in large database, it gives a low performance to you. Okay, next is hash file indexing, or hash file organization. So here what happens basically, okay, hashing is nothing but basically what, performing hash h of some key. Okay, hashing is nothing but performing some hashing on some particular key. And how do we perform? You take some key with mod and any value here. Okay, this value will keep on changing with this particular key. Okay, so here we are taking the example key mod 100. Okay, now suppose I've taken this example. I want to search a particular key in the database, that is 101 key in your database. Okay, okay, or searching or I'm storing, anything we can take. Okay, now if I want to search a 101 key, so what will I do? I'll first hash it. That is nothing but 101 mod 100. So output which you get is 1. So I'll search it in block 1 or bucket 1. Okay, next is 102. Okay, 102 mod 100. Then you can search in bucket 2 because answer you get is a 2. Then 103, answer you'll get after hash function, you'll get 3. So that is bucket 3. 104, after hashing you'll get output has 4. Then perform 4. Then the data is stored in bucket 4. Okay, same thing with 5. Okay, so what happens is every time you have to perform a hash function to either search a data or insert a data. Okay, right? And you have something called as in hash function we have used blocks, but here in sorry, what is it? It was heap function. In heap file organization we have used blocks, but here we are using everything in form of buckets. Okay, next is you have in hashing is of two types. One is static hashing, second one is bucket overflow hashing. Now what do you mean by static hashing? Is nothing but you have a hash functions. Okay, we have seen here you have a hash functions which compute some output, and those particular buckets I'm storing the data. Now suppose I have one more hash function, one more key which also produces same bucket. Okay, I have one more hash with 101. I have one more hash key which produces same bucket 1. So what happens? That indirectly is an overflow. So you'll have one more bucket which is pointing to 1 here. Okay, some X bucket. I'll show it to you here. Okay, here you'll be having one more bucket which will be having value. You have bucket 1 with first one is 100. Next, first one is 100. Sorry, 101. After that you have, suppose let me take some example X. Okay, so this X is nothing but an overflow here. Okay, so the static is the same thing. Okay, 100 is already occupying the bucket 1 and some X variable has come. It is also when you perform hash function, it is also showing you the bucket 1. So that is an overflow. This is nothing but the issue with static. Okay, because here also we give a hash function, okay, which computes the same address. If it computes the same address, what happens here is nothing but you have to create one more bucket, okay, which is giving a link to it and insert the value. Okay, suppose here it is 95. You're inserting the value and this is an overflow, okay, in static. Okay, and once this happens, we can't perform anything in static. Okay, so what do we do is we shift to dynamic, because a bucket overflow is happening. That is a drawback in static. Okay, but once we go to dynamic, since there's a bucket overflow, we can split the buckets. But here in static, we can't do that. That's what we shift to dynamic. Okay, now suppose in dynamic what happens, suppose let me take extendable. Okay, here for dynamic, let me take an example for extendable hashing. Okay, now suppose there's a directory driven. Okay, in extendable, you'll basically know that we have a directory and we have buckets, right? We have directory, we have buckets, we have local depth, we have global depth. Okay, so basically whenever we store in either zeros or ones, something like that. Now suppose my first one is 0 and 1. Okay, some value has come, I'm checking the last bit of it. Okay, and since it is 1, so I'll go to the bucket 1 and store the value 1001. Okay, now next is some other value coming again, that is nothing but 1. Again in this one I can store one more value. Okay, suppose let me for this example, suppose let me take that you can store 2 elements in your bucket. Okay, or bucket size is 2, maximum 2 elements it can take. So it is 0 1 0 1. Okay, now next, suppose I have D3, okay, where last bit is 0. So for bucket 0, I'll store this 1 0 1 0. Okay, now suppose next again I have D4, okay, which is also last value is 0. Okay, so again here I'll store the data, that is 1 1 0. Now suppose I have directory D5. Now this is also storing to bucket 0. Now what happens here? Okay, we have said that these buckets can store maximum 2 values. They have stored the 2 values. Now one more directory is coming, which is obtaining the output 0 1 1 0. Now this last bit is 0. So what will I do for bucket 1? Suppose here local depth is 1, global depth is 1. So what will I do? Since this is also pointing to directory 0, I'll split this bucket. Okay, I'll split this bucket and double the directory. Okay, that is nothing but now directory will become 0 0 0 1 1 0 and 1 1. Okay, and this bucket B1 will split. Okay, and I'll check now. I'll check the last 2 bits. It is 1 1 0 0. Okay, and I'll check the last 2 bits of each element that is inserted. Okay, so what was here now? The first one was here for D3, it is 1 0. So since it is 1 0, in this 1 0 it will be stored. You'll create a bucket 1 0 and store the data. Okay, so that is 1 0 1 0. Next D4 is 1 1 0 0. So last bit is 0 0. So at 0 0 I'll store this data, that is 1 1 0 0. Okay, next D5 is 1 0 again. D5 directly last two bit is 1 0. So I'll store here 0 1 1 0. Okay, so this is nothing but extendable hashing. Okay, or dynamic hashing. So basically what happens here, you can shrink or grow, you can either shrink or grow the particular data packets. Okay, now after this we have done with cost operations of all this heap, stored data, tree indexing, hash indexing, and while doing primary indexing and all, I've already said you what are the, what do you say it as, when you particular want to search a data, search a particular data in primary indexing or secondary indexing, then what are the complexity of them. Okay, so after this we'll go to linear hashing. Okay, so till now we have seen that extendable hashing basically has two things in it. One is directory and one is bucket. Okay, so in linear hashing we'll be having, I don't know if I've done extendable hashing or I suppose I've done extendable hashing. Okay, so in a linear hashing, what happens is we'll be having buckets. Okay, we have buckets, basically two buckets at starting. Okay, and with that we'll be having, I suppose I've done linear hashing last time. I don't know, I don't remember, but I'll do it. Harshit, anyone is there who can say me I've done linear hashing or extendable hashing last time? Because I feel like
Linear, ma'am.
linear only. So okay, just a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll open extendable hashing then.
Gokul,
I'll open extendable hashing. Okay, so we'll see extendable hashing, how it happens. Okay, so in extendable hashing, we have two things. First one is directories and second one is buckets. Okay, and directories will be having global depth, whereas buckets will be having local depth. That when we'll see what. Okay, now what is buckets? Where your actual data is stored, and what are directories? That's nothing but addresses which are pointing, which are basically pointing to the data where it is stored in hard disk. Okay, or it is nothing but storing the address where the data is stored. Basically directory does that. Okay, now we'll come to example directly. Okay, now they are asking us to insert these particular values. Okay, and they are saying that bucket size is 3. Now what do you mean by basically bucket size is 3 is nothing but you can insert 3 datas. That is nothing but you can insert 16, 4, 6 in one bucket. Okay, whenever this is. Okay, now and we are using hash function. Here we are supposing that the hash function of global depth is x, then the hash function return x LSBs. Okay, so basically what it is doing, it is doing hash function on 16. Okay, and hash function of 16, it will give you LSB bit of 16, that is 0. Okay, we are assuming that the hash function is giving me a LSB bit of that particular data item. If it is 16, the LSB bit of 16 is 0. Okay, so now initially my local depth and global depth is 1. Okay, why? Because it has said that the hash function, we are taking the global depth as x. That is nothing but we are taking here either 0 or 1. Okay, we are taking 0 or 1. So our local depth is 1 because we are only checking the LSB bit of any value. Okay, that's what we are taking it only buckets is either 0 or 1 and global depth is 1, local depth is 1. Okay, and for this 0, it is pointing to bucket 1 and 1, it's pointing to bucket 2. Okay, now suppose I'm inserting the binary format, that is, I'm inserting the value 16. Okay, so the binary format of 16 is 1 4 zeros. Okay, and the global depth is 1. Okay, so what will I do? Once I do hashing, the LSB bit of 16, what I get as output is 0. So in directory, what at the particular position 0, at that position and insert the value 16. You can see here. Okay, I'm doing hash of 16 and I get that particular binary value after doing hash of 16. So I'll take the least significant bit of 16, that is 0, and that in that particular directory it is pointing to bucket 1. In that bucket I'll insert 0. Next, same with 4 and 6. So I'll perform hashing on 4. I'll perform hashing on 4 and 6, and the least significant bit is 0 here. So I'll store in bucket 0. Okay, next is 22. Okay, so this is the one case. Next is 22. Now what happens here? I have said the maximum data items in a bucket can be 3. Now it is 4. So what will I do is, I will split the bucket. I'll create one more bucket which is B3 and I'll double the directives. Okay, that is a concept of extendable hashing. Okay, now once I have doubled the bucket, my local depth will become +1 every time. Okay, because now I have to compare last 2 bits of it. Okay, because of this issue only, we have got overflow, because last bit was 0 and 22 was stored in B0. Okay, that is bucket 0. Okay, just because of that we are splitting the bucket. Now once we split bucket, instead of comparing the least significant bit, I'll compare the last 2 significant bits now. Okay, that's what we are doubling the directory. And after doing that, I will rearrange this, all the values. Okay, so 16 last 2 bit is 0 0, so at position 0 I'll insert. For 4 also, last 2 bit is 0 0, I'll insert 4 here. Next 6 is 1 0. Okay, so at position 1 0, I'm inserting 6. Then 22 will give you last 2 bits as 1 0. At 1 0 I'm inserting 22. So like this we keep on inserting. Same thing for 24 and 10. Okay, 24 and 10. Now since we have doubled the directories, now all the data elements which you start inserting. Okay, once you perform the hash functions, you take the last 2 bits. Now for 24, last 2 bits is 0. Okay, I've inserted in bucket 0. For 10, after hashing, last 2 bits you get is 1 0. Okay, at 1 0 I'm inserting elements. Then next is 31. 31 last 2 bits, it will give me 1 1. I'll insert there. Then again 7 last 2 bits will give me, after hashing, 1 1. Okay, at 1 1, which it is pointing to bucket 3, I'll insert there. Then 9, after hashing, I will get the output. Okay, in that last 2 bits is 0 1. So at position 0 1, I'm inserting the data 9. Okay, next if I want to insert 20. Okay, now this 20 is again giving me 0 0. Now that is an overflow. Now what I have to do is again split the bucket. Now once I've split the bucket, what happens? I have to double the directory again. Okay, and increment the local and global depth also by 1. Okay, because now once 20 becomes an overflow, so that means comparing last 2 bits is waste now for me. So what I'll do, I'll split the bucket and make my directories. I'll start comparing last 3 bits. Okay, same thing if I go on inserting. Now suppose again my this bucket B0 is filled, okay, with 3 elements. Now again 4th elements which I'm doing hashing, it again comes to bucket B0. So what will I do? Again double the directory, increase my global and local depth for those buckets which are actually splitting to 4. Okay, now next I'll start splitting the bucket again. Okay, and that is nothing but rearranging the items in this bucket. Okay, that is the procedure which we normally do. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope Harshita, you're taking this number of participants screenshots. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because I'm not taking it. That's what I'm asking. Okay. That's all for today, and we have I've done with 5th unit revision. From tomorrow, I'll take 4th unit, and the ones who have not come and starting, kindly come for 4th unit. Kindly listen the 4th unit. Why? Because I'll be seeing y'all multiple granularities, validation based granularity, which you have not listened. Okay. So tomorrow I'll say all the protocols and log based protocol and everything in your 4th unit. Okay. We'll start 4th unit tomorrow. So for today, this much, and kindly complete your assignment by tomorrow. Okay. Thank you.